Hello, my name is Kirioth, Herald of Nurgle, and still Human Plague Bearer, although I do have drugs now, so hopefully we can get rid of that title and go over something a bit more grand and a bit less ill, plague-filled and rotten. We'll have to think about what that title might be. Resurrected Corpse is a bit grim, given recent events on YouTube, so maybe we'll stay away from that, shall we? Anyway, today we're going to talk about the possibility that 2018 will in fact be the year of Slaanesh. I mean, I know Games Workshop are currently talking about the year of Nurgle, but there's been rumours, there's been things flying around all over the shop. I've seen stuff on Bell of Lost Souls, I've seen some people mention it on my Discord, and there is of course the video from Chapter Master Valrak, all talking about the potential return of Fulgrim, possibly even as the next Primarch. Now, also, along with a bunch of goodies, Slaanesh related, so presumably Emperor's Children. I think what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about how that would be cool, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about how, really, if it was the next Primarch to be released, that wouldn't be cool, and that actually I wouldn't like to see that just yet, which is going to sound weird given what I'm about to say. If Fulgrim is released, Daemon Primarch Fulgrim makes a return back to Warhammer 40,000, I will be genuinely excited, especially if he brings with him an entire Emperor's Children rework, like as what Thousand Sons got, like as what Death Guard got. I mean, Tzeentch and Thousand Sons have had their own quality releases, and the same things happened with Death Guard and Nurgle. Those armies look fantastic, the models for those gods look pretty damn good. An actual full Legion rework and their own codex would be amazing for Emperor's Children, because, I mean, they're one of my favourite traitor chapters, traitor legions, and I mean, there's several reasons for that. Firstly, to be honest, as someone who's played guitar and bass for years and years and years, the idea of Noise Marines is especially nice to me. I mean, everyone likes Noise Marines, but to me especially, I really, really like that. And things like the Noise Marine kit that you get now, it's not even a kit, it's just conversion parts from Games Workshop, it looks dated. I think that's a nice way of putting it. I mean, we could say it looks bloody awful, but we'll stick with dated. It severely needs an update. All of the Emperor's Children stuff, such as it is, because there isn't a huge amount of it, really needs an update. And when you've got a legion that is so closely attached to a single god, you know, bring them all out at once makes sense, and it would be brilliant to see them on the tabletop. I would actually legitimately make it so that my Imperial Guard project, the parts for which should be arriving this week, well, the first parts for it, I'm not buying an entire army in one go, that would be mental. I would actually make that even more of a long-term project, because I'd want to collect Emperor's Children alongside that. That's how much I like them. And it would be a good thing. But the problem is that, having said all that, I don't actually want them yet. Which is going to sound a bit weird, because I'm just gushing about how good it would be, how great it would be to have Daemon Primarch Fulgrim back, how awesome it would be to have a load of Emperor's Children stuff, have it get the same treatment as Death Guard and Thousand Sons have already got. I'd love all of that. Just not yet. Just don't do it yet. And the reason for that is kind of simple, and we've kind of covered it before a little bit, but it's a good opportunity to talk about it again. It's the perception of balance, and it's the desire not to see things get too repetitive. So, we had Magnus come back. That was grand. We had Guilliman come back. That was also grand. Magnus and Guilliman had a fight, because of course they did. What else are they going to do? Although the way that it was phrased was a bit weird, because for the life of me, I can't remember any specific reason as to why Magnus was particularly angry at Guilliman. I can't, off the top of my head, think of anything whereby Guilliman did something so heinous and awful to Magnus that he would want to seek revenge on him specifically, and that's the way it came across in the Gathering Storm stuff. So, but you know, that aside, weird though it was, you got to have the two return Primarchs have a scrap, haven't you? You got to get in there, make it grand, make it a spectacle, and an epic saga kind of thing, which it almost was. And then we had Mortarion return. We're currently at a ratio of 2-1 for Chaos Daemon Primarchs to Loyalist Primarchs. And that's okay, but it already feels as though the balance is distinctly not in Guilliman's favour. I mean, had it not been for the Silent Sisters, he would have had a severe issue with Magnus, because Magnus was always insanely strong when it came to Warpcraft, and, well, now he's a Daemon Primarch. He is also considerably larger than Guilliman in every sense. He's massive. He's just a giant dude. I would say that maybe even without his insane psychic powers, he would stand a good chance of just backhanding Guilliman often enough to do him some serious damage. Guilliman surviving and the whole Silent Sisters turning up, I mean, that's fine. You know, you've got to have intervention in these sort of things. I just don't want to see that too often. For instance, Guilliman and Mortarion, they're going to have a fight at some point. They're clearly going to have a fight at some point. Dark Imperium built up to it. Admittedly, I've got back to rereading the Horus Heresy all over again, so I can't remember if the follow-up to Dark Imperium's even out. I don't think it is. If it is, let me know in the comments so I can go and read it. I'm rereading the first Heretic at the moment, and oh my god, it's such a good book. I love it. Anyway, Mortarion and Guilliman have got their own little drama going on. We've already had all of this Ultramarine versus Death Guard stuff, and that's obviously going to come to a head. There's going to be some sort of big culmination in that storyline. Now, if Fulgrim comes back as well, it's just going to look like there's a standing line of Daemon Primarchs waiting to have a fight with Guilliman, which they will inevitably lose, because you cannot bring Guilliman back and then immediately have him get killed by one of his demon brethren. That doesn't make any sense. Narrative-wise, story-wise, however you want to say it, it would just be kind of lame. Yes, Guilliman has returned, and oh, well, he'd fought 3 of his brothers one after the other, and it actually turns out that they are stronger than him. Now he's dead. Like that's not only would that not sell well, but a significant number of people would go, well, why the fuck did you bring him back then? Like, what was the point in him coming back if you were then just going to trash him by having him fight Daemon Primarchs over and over? No, we need something to address the balance a little bit, which is why I don't want Fulgrim to be the next Primarch. I want Fulgrim to be released. I want Emperor's Children to be released, and then he said Emperor's Sons for some reason. I don't know why. I want those out. I want those miniatures. I want to collect those. I want to make an army of those, because that'd be badass. At the same time, I absolutely don't want them right now. For the love of God, push them back a bit. Make them the tail end of the year or something, and give us something else in between. Especially when you consider that we have already got 2 decent storylines that could see Primarch's return without it feeling like too much of a leap. Now, we've already got Space Wolves. You know, Fenris got trashed. The Space Wolves are not as healthy as they have been for quite some time, and they're in a pretty much right position to get mangled all over again. Now, whether that happens or not is another matter entirely, but it would make sense. It would not be beyond the realm of possibility for there to be a follow-up attack on the Space Wolves, or for them to get involved in a conflict that is actually a bit too much for their, weakened state. Obviously, they're not on the verge of death or anything. It's not like they're about to get wiped out, but the chapter is not as healthy as it once was in terms of numbers and in terms of possible recruitment and so on. Fenris got the shit slapped out of it. So, Space Wolves, by extension, are not in the best position right now. So you've got a possible storyline there for the return of Leman Russ. You could have him come back at the head of the rest of the 13th Company, and it would make absolute sense if the Space Wolves got attacked again, or if they got involved in some massive conflict for which they were underprepared, and they just didn't have the numbers, then that would conceivably be the Wolf time. Leman Russ would be able to come back, and it would make sense. It would be absolutely logical and follow their storyline. It's the same thing with the Dark Angels. Now, the Dark Angels have obviously been reinforced by Guilliman and the Primaris at this point, because of course they have, and whilst they're not struggling for numbers as such anymore, there is still the issue of the escape of Luther, the fact that the Rock got invaded, which is mental, and the rumours and sightings of essentially a legion's worth of Fallen, which, yeah, you did just get reinforced by Primaris, but that only goes so far when you're dealing with, I mean, if you think about a legion's worth, that's what, anywhere between like 100,000 to 250,000 Space Marines? Legions were big. Some of them were bigger than others. Some of them were more numerous. I mean, the Ultramarines were famous for being a massive legion. A legion's worth of Fallen is not something you want to be dealing with. Even the Dark Angels don't particularly want to be going up against a force of that size, especially if it's being led by Luther. Luther is pretty damn strong. He's really damn strong for what he is. And so, you've kind of got a nice avenue there for the Lion to come back. For me personally, it makes way more sense for the Lion or Leman Russ to make a return before Fulgrim. Easily. You know, there's 2 storylines set out there that could quite easily culminate in the return of their Primarchs, and it wouldn't be too much of a stretch. Fulgrim pulling together a load of the Emperor's Children and just appearing out of the warp when Magnus has already done some serious damage, when Mortarion and the Death Guard have already done some serious damage, just showing up and being like, I'm here too! I just don't know if that would work that well, and of course there would then follow the danger of it just being Guilliman versus another Daemon Primarch, which kind of lowers the significance of their return. Now, if we saw something interesting, like some sort of mix of the 2 storylines that are currently going on, you know, the continued adventures of the Space Wolves and the Fallen stuff for the Dark Angels, if we saw some sort of mixture, I think that'd be more palatable. Like, I could see a fight between Fulgrim and the Lion somehow occurring due to Fallen antics, getting the Emperor's children involved, and it would be a little bit of a reach, a little bit of a stretch, I think, but I could see that more reasonably than just bringing out another Daemon Primarch, you know? I could see that happening a bit more comfortably than it just being a case of, and there's Fulgrim as well, because he's ready to come out now, so there you go. I don't know. It's a weird one. I really want the models. I'd really like there to be a dedicated Emperor's Children army. At the same time, I just don't want them to keep rushing out Daemon Primarchs. I want them to make it balanced. I want them to bring them back for a good reason. And when there's already things in place for Loyalist Primarchs to come back with good reason, you know, you've got existing hooks and plot lines already there for Loyalist Primarchs to come back. If the next Primarch to come out was Daemon Primarch Fulgrim, that would be kind of disappointing to me. It would be kind of predictable. It'd be kind of frustrating. And although, of course, Fulgrim does have more cause to fight Guilliman, really, than anyone else, I kind of feel like that should be built up to a lot more. A lot more. I feel like that should be the culmination of a long storyline. Not just, oh, Guilliman's back, so Fulgrim decided to get off his living velvet throne and take his sons into real space. I feel like it needs more build-up than just that. It wouldn't do that particular conflict justice. So yeah, I want them out. I want them right now. At the same time, I absolutely don't want them right now. I want them to wait, and I want it to be a proper build-up, a proper release, a actual, genuine, interesting storyline. The question is, what do you think? Do you want them right now? Do you not care about any of that stuff? Do you think Games Workshop are even bothered about what storylines they're making at this point? Or do you think they're just going to keep piling people out at random until all of the Primarchs are now back? All of the ones that are still alive, anyway. I'd be interested in what you think, because there seems to be some conflicting opinions on this one. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments below. In the meantime, there's plenty of stuff to click all over the screen. The subscribe, Patreon, a couple of videos, all of that garbage. Click it if you like, don't click it if you don't want to. It's entirely up to you. I will see you for the next video. Toodaloo.